Looks good. We're good. We're good. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And this is the August regular Jacksonville-North-Pulaski School Board meeting. It's our vision that we will be the model school district where every learner is valued and empowered to become a successful, contributing member of society, and our mission to foster a culture of ownership and accountability through partnerships that create multiple pathways for success. Mr. Moore, would you please call the roll?
Okay. Carl Smith, Daniel Gray,
Here.
Ava Coleman,
Here.
Jim Moore here, Ron McDaniel,
Present.
Dana Brockway,
Here.
Lauren Martin,
Here.
Laura Walker.
Here.
All right. If you guys will join me and as we observe a moment of silence followed by the pledge. And Mr. McDaniel, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. First item on the agenda is a legal update. I don't see Mr. Richardson. Do you have anything for us?
No, he hasn't shared any new updates.
Okay. All right, so we will move on to facilities update. I see Mr. Russ with us this evening. Evening, sir.
I'm really just here if anybody has any questions. Don't really have much of an update. Today was the first day of mobilization for the middle school edition. There's a construction fence up. That's it so far.
Cool. Questions? I saw the signs up in front of Merle Taylor.
Yeah.
Do we have the signs up in front of Bonita? Just hadn't been out that way.
Awesome.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for coming out and
No problem.
hanging with us for a few seconds.
Russ?
Give you a break tonight.
Okay. Next is superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. Few updates. Just a reminder that our district convocation will take place August 15th at the Jacksonville High School Auditorium. We have the best-selling author, motivational speaker, Mr. Ron Clark, who developed and created the Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. And so we're excited to have him for our teachers and staff members to open up the school year. Just a reminder, the first day of school is August 22nd, and that we do not have a backpack policy, so we wanted to make sure all of our parents knew that. But we do have protocols in place to ensure all is safe. We've just launched a new campaign to clean up our reputation, or to better enhance our positive reputation online. Mrs. Chisa Williams has launched a partnership with Niche, which creates the online platform that really enhances, it offers a grading system for schools. And so through that website, we can enhance our grade average that we typically get. Ms. Cheeks, I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask you to come to the mic and do a better explanation than what I'm giving. But it's going to help our online presence as people research Jacksonville North Lassie School District. So I was glad when she brought that to my attention.
So as I explained to the admin retreat, when people move into our area, they normally Google best schools in Arkansas or best schools in Jacksonville. And so last year, 33 million people went to the niche website, and they will see our profile. We're able to just put everything that's great about our district on that profile. Pictures, video, the fact that we have career pathways, a Purple Star School District. So it's a way to attract new families and retain our existing families. But again, 33 million people visited their website. It's almost similar to the greatschools.org website. So
Do they have any communication with greatschools.org website? Is there any way to get a hold of the greatschools.org
I haven't found
update?
who's the admin for that website yet. I've been looking.
I know, it's impossible.
Yes. So again, as Dr. Owen mentioned, we all have a letter grade. And if you go there, I mean, it's not a favorable grade for us, but it's pulled from like government data from the state, also reviews. And so hopefully with the test scores going up, we'll be able to at least get a better grade on that website.
Well, I think it's important to take a proactive role, and I appreciate us doing that. Thank you very much. And you look at some of the information on those websites, it still has information from when it was a boys campus and a girls campus at the middle school. That was 10 years ago. I don't know how long ago. Was it forever ago?
Right. In fact, it still had Warren, Dupree, and Pinewood listed. And so I'm working with the content manager. Every school district has one. And I told her, those schools don't even exist now. And that we are a new school district, and that those two schools merged. So I'm giving her accurate information, up-to-date information, and just great pictures and video about our scholars.
I think it's great, and it needs to be a priority for us. I think that's perfect. I can't tell you how many times I've answered questions in my line of work with sites like Zillow, and they have the great schools basically tied into it. And people looking for houses or where to live, they're going to look at those things, and
Right.
there's just so much misinformation
Right.
on there.
And especially it's a way to attract more military families to our district.
Sure.
When does it get updated? So you send out survey links. We all went on there, get 5
Yes,
stars, but when does it?
When does it update? So it'll have a sponsored ad next week. So if you go on Facebook, you will see a sponsored ad from us. But basically, whenever there's something new or unique happening in our district, like I will notify Molly. She's our content partner. And so I just have to stay on top of it,
Right.
as far as updating.
Just something else.
Something else. It's my job. I don't mind it, but yeah, something else.
Thank you, Ms. Wade.
Thank you.
And then just wanted to highlight our junior ROTC cadets. They recently earned a Silver Star Community Service with Excellence Award. And so we're proud of our cadets and Captain Warren and Sergeant Williams. And then lastly, our leaders, both our school leaders and department leaders, as well as the district leaders, all attended the Leadership Institute, and together as we move forward, the two main focus areas for us are targeted literacy and enhancing positive climate, school and district climate and culture. And so those are going to be our focus areas to make sure that we continue to build the environment that's conducive and welcoming to our scholars as well as our staff members as we work toward recruitment and retention goals for the entire district. And to do that, to support that, you all have received a copy of the new book study for this year. And so we're all school leaders and department leaders are moving forward to that through that book. And so if you would like to read that and join the discussion, you can. I won't give you any assignments this year, but I wanted you all to have a copy of that. But we are adamant about making sure that we're viewing our scholars as individuals and with their faces in mind as we look at data to improve literacy moving forward, and as well as making sure we have the environments that they want to be here, that our parents want them here, and that our staff want to be in the district. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? I'm gonna do a better job this year on this book. It's my commitment.
And you said it out loud.
All right, next item we have is the consent agenda, minutes from July 11th, Assistant Superintendent's reports, and the financial report. Is there anything in the consent agenda that needs to be pulled out for discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Next item we have are our bus deletions. Dr. Owa?
Yes, every year, or as we start to review our current list of inventory of buses, we have to make sure that we carry out the process accordingly and based on law. And to remove these buses that are not in service, we have to propose the recommendation or propose the action item to remove them from our inventory list. And so before you, you have a list of buses that are not in use that we would like to remove from our inventory list. And so I recommend approval of the bus deletions.
All right, any questions?
So do we sell them? Are they gone? Are they in the market?
Well, during the transition between Coach Hickenbotham and Mr. Beck, there was discussion. We've used the old ones for parts, and then we also used some of them. We sold some of them
We auctioned
at auction.
and we also scrapped too.
Anything else?
They're still in that dirt parking lot next door.
Some of them are, and some of them are behind the fenced area. Yeah, so.
Are we replacing them, or is it just,
We have during, we've received 2 of the propane, right? And then we have ordered some, and so one of the
They
things,
should be here in August.
In
the next
August.
two.
the last 2, but we've also created, again, during the transition between Mr. Hickenbotham and Mr. Beck, we started to design or develop a transportation plan where we start to purchase new buses each year, and build that in the budget so that we can replace the aging fleet with new ones. So that's going to be a yearly, annual thing.
are we thinking electric?
Well, there's grants, but, and Mr. Hickenbotham and I discussed that, Mr. Lester, the 3 of us discussed that there's more cost than what we expect, because you have to have the actual electrical platform to hook them up, and they don't run as long as, of course, the propane. Even with the propane, we noticed that there's some additional costs with that than what we thought. So, but there are some grants. We did research the grant opportunities, but to be more cost effective, it's better to just have fuel operated buses.
What's the life expectancy of these buses, 15, 20 years?
What's
The
the-
life expectancy for the
of
buses,
12 to 15.
12 to 15.
and you double that, and you'll see most of those are the types of buses we inherited from PCSs.
They're over
We,
50.
yeah, we inherited aging fleets, so,
Funny how that worked out.
yeah.
All right, any other questions, discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the recommendation.
I make a motion to approve the recommendation.
Second,
All right, got a motion and a second. Any discussion,
Just one quick discussion.
question? Yes, sir.
Has to do with JNPSD name on the side of the buses. Are we gonna have those removed before we sell them or get rid of them?
We can follow up. Our name, JNPSD, Jacksonville North Pulaski School District, the name on the side of the buses, would we remove them?
I do not know the answer, but I'll find
We
out.
can follow up.
We did that a few years ago.
We'll follow up.
The scrap ones we didn't at all.
No. The drivable ones.
I'll look into that more.
All right, any more questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, next item we have is a bread bid, child nutrition. And I think we have a board member that would like to recuse herself. Miss Dina Tony is going to recuse herself. She's a, yeah, excuse me, Miss Brockway is recusing herself. Let the minutes reflect that. She is gone. All right, let's talk about Dean.
Well, Mr. Gray, there are actually three items underneath this child nutrition item. First is to recommend continuing the community eligibility provision. Just FYI on this, most school districts, based on the waivers being removed or rescinded from the federal government, those districts are no longer able to provide free breakfast and lunch. But we're still fortunate under the community eligibility provision to still be able to provide breakfast and lunch to all of our scholars. And so we would definitely like to continue that. So you have that before you as a recommendation to continue as a CEP school district. And then you have the recommendation for the dairy, Highland Dairy renewal bid for the 22-23 school year. And then lastly, the recommendation to accept the bid for our bread source from Dunn Wholesale for the 23-24 school year, this year, leading up to next year.
Okay. Questions? If none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Please, sir.
I just have I guess I should ask before, but, will we always be able to continue to offer, free breakfast and lunch?
As long as it's based on our numbers, our percentage of free and reduced students. And so as long as we continue, I think it's a 5-year process. So every 5 years we have to renew that application. And so so it's important that we continue to do the things. And a lot of districts, one of the things that they have done is to continue to have our young people to fill out free and reduced lunch applications. We haven't gotten to that point because our poverty percentage is high. But every 5 years we have to renew it.
Do we advertise it? I think that's something that parents, that can get costly.
So
It's a good plus, if you're on the board.
well, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I won't put Mrs. Williams back on the spot, but she is working with Mr. Clint Walker, and you'll see a video within a week or so on highlighting our child nutrition program, but specifically the fact that all of our students will still be able to eat breakfast and lunch for free this upcoming year. So she's already in progress.
All right. Next item we have is a review of mask policy. I think Ms. Brockway requested this be put on the agenda. So I think let's just, for discussion, where are we at on our mask policy? I think we have received an email that the
Based upon
protocols have changed. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
based upon the current level of COVID positive cases, the counties in the red at the highest level, high level. And so that placed us in the red zone for the district. And so masks are mandated based upon the decision that was voted on last spring of the spotlight process. And so currently that's where we are. We're clear mandated.
And I was curious, I asked Dr. Owa to find out kind of our neighboring districts, what are the policies? How many districts are requiring masks? How many districts are, what other policies are out there?
And so what I did, I not only looked at the surrounding districts, but districts throughout Arkansas. And just, so BB school district, there's no mandate, but may consider if the rate exceeds 1% of the total number of staff and students. So right now they don't have a mandate. Low note, if cases meet or exceed 50 people enrolled or employed, then they will implement a mask mandate. But if they did, if it's 50 or less or 49 or less, then they will remove the mask mandate. Cabot has no mask mandate and it's only optional. Searcy has no mandate. Little Rock is required while in the red, but it's also a pending item on their board agenda. Fayetteville has a strongly recommended policy, but not required. North Little Rock is optional. Batesville is no mandate. Conway, no mandate. PCSSD, no mandate. And then Lakeside, no mandate. And so those are all the ones that we were able to.
Thank you for getting that information. I've talked to some parents and had the concerns about being forced to wear a mask. This conversation is morphed over the years, and from when we first started this in 2020 to now, I think obviously it's been a roller coaster ride, but I think it's appropriate for us to discuss where we're at. And if we want to change the policy, I think vaccines are now available for all students if a parent so chooses to do that. So I'm okay. If anybody else wants to chime in here or make a recommendation or a comment, or do we want to change it? Do we want to leave it the same?
One of the reasons that I had asked it to be put on the agenda was, my confusion, because if we, kept the mandate that we had to keep masks on all the time, as soon as they leave here, they're taking the mask off. They're going to the store, they're going home, they're going to anywhere in Jacksonville because none of them are mandated. Masks are, not being pushed right now. So I just felt like as far as the scholars, especially the younger kiddos, learning the mask, kindergarten, pre-K, whatever, the mask was a little bit of a hindrance for a lot of the kids because they couldn't see the mouths and whatever. So my opinion is I don't know how we would change it. I mean, I don't know if we want to keep it on another or just take what we had away, put it on the back burner. I don't know, but I just feel like it needs to be optional.
I think it ought to be optional also right now. Maybe after school starts and things start getting falling into this category, then we need to relook at it. But I think right now, I've had some parents tell me that some, and then there are others on the other side. So it's kind of a mixed feeling out there. But we have a decision to make on that. And I think optional right now.
I don't know, if you would have asked me probably like a week or so ago, I probably would have been like, no mask, just let it be, whatever. However, I experienced, thank God I was working from home that week, but we had 2 people who came in and like wiped out our whole department or whatever, and probably about 40% of them end up being COVID positive. So I do understand the hindrance with the students and the parents. If we do take it away, I do think that we should put strongly recommended if it is taken away, just because it's so easily transmitted now. The hospitals the cases at the hospital are extremely up. It's just crazy. Like, we're back on lockdown pretty much at UAMS. So I just want us just to be aware of that, whatever, when it started happening. And everybody is so different. I think about 38 people or whatever that's out. And I had anywhere from just having mild symptoms all the way to somebody having to be hospitalized. And as everybody is different. And the person that was hospitalized has no health concerns, no nothing. And she's the one who was struggling the most. So if we do take it away, I just want us to put strongly recommended and just remind parents of the benefits of wearing a mask and the benefits of their children being vaccinated. And then possibly, if we do take it away, maybe offering another vaccination clinic.
We're still offering PPE,
Yes.
masks and everything.
Yes, we still provide the mask and hand sanitizer to all departments, all schools. But additionally, the question would be if the board still wants us to do checks at the door, temperature and all of those before.
Are we doing that?
Well, we have more so the masks to sign in and just some protocols. I don't think every school or department are doing
I thought that we stopped that at the end of the year. I thought it was,
I
we're not supposed to, are we tracking? We're not still tracking, are we?
We, not contact tracing up.
Contact
But-
tracing.
But I will say, we're keeping track of it. And we definitely need to keep track of it just because of the EBT requirements that will still, and that's gonna come up in a little bit for the point of contact, that we still need to have that role, because if the state offers those benefits, again, this year, we have to have some method of tracking positive cases among our students, because that will allow them to be eligible for those benefits.
Okay.
So, but as far as contacts with positive cases, no, we don't track those within the school system.
Anybody else? Comments? Thoughts? Motion? Did I hear a motion? Need a motion. I need a motion if we're gonna change anything. If not, we're gonna stay the same.
No, I understand that, but I guess I don't understand how I'm supposed to say it.
Motion to make it optional? Is that what motion?
Strongly recommended. Okay, I make a motion to make math strongly recommended
And not required.
and not required.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. All right. All right, masks are strongly recommended but not required. Next item on our agenda is the legal transfer request. And we have a few.
Yes, we have 11, I believe. Yes.
Quite a few. I mean, we don't need to go through them each individually. The recommendation is the same for all.
Yeah, the recommendations for all, with the caveat that we continue to, with requests to come from Pulaski County Special School District or to go to Pulaski County Special School District, we've been told repeatedly that Pulaski County does not participate in legal transfers. And so I'm not sure how the board wants to act upon the two, I believe, that we have before you. But they're not going to.
There's three.
That's okay, three. But they're not going to receive our students nor allow their students to come to us.
So they're not going to allow these students, if we approve it, they won't allow them to come.
Who's already signed?
So if we approve it, they can't go still. Okay. So at least they're all right.
I remember we talked about last year about having a cutoff date because we do have school choice. And I know school hasn't started, so I mean, I'm not feeling no type of way, but are we gonna have a cutoff date when we?
Yes, I'm still, as from my recommendation, still feel as if as school starts, then it's not a benefit for students to be moved in and out of instructional settings. I think one of the most important things is that students have a solid foundation instructionally. And so my cutoff date of recommending approval will be this August board meeting because we start school later this month.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion on the superintendent's recommendation?
I'll make that motion. Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second to approve the superintendent's recommendation to approve the legal transfers. Any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously.
We need a motion on what he just said about the cutoff date.
I don't think so. I think they're still going to come to us, but his recommendation is going to be different, and then we'll still vote on it. So, Am I mistaken?
No, that's correct.
Yes, sir. Next item we have is personnel, and I believe we've got an addendum to the personnel list in your packet. So before we consider personnel, I'd entertain a motion to add the addendum to the agenda.
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to add that addendum. Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, so we've got the presented personnel that was in the original packet and the addendum to consider for personnel. Any questions or discussion on personnel would need to be held in executive session. If there's no need for executive session, we can move forward with Dr. Owa's recommendations.
I recommend approval of the personnel report. I do want to clarify on the addendum. If you see item 2, I mentioned earlier that we would have to continue with the point of contact, which is an additional role, additional set of tasks. And so if you remember last school year, you approved a $10,000 additional pay for that role. And it was paid into 2 installments because we're not going to do an extensive contact tracing, but there's still requirements for the district to have point of contact. We wanted to reduce that in half and pay it at $2,500 per semester for the point of contact. But also, as well as the ESSER manager, we have to have someone in the district who continues to monitor the expenditures for the ESSER funds. We're still expending ESSER 2 and ARP funds. And so that's an additional task as well. And so we wanted to make sure we compensate that person. And that's the same amount as last year. Both sets of funds will come out of the current ESSER funds that we receive from the federal government. So I wanted to make sure that was clear as well.
Any questions? All right, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation.
All right,
Second.
motion and a second. No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is Ron Daniel.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate you.
Right there. Oh, you're You need to know what streets are.
You need to know what streets your glasses are.
No, I was saying, what, I'm trying to remember where it came from. I don't know what it's called. It's like
I never know what this stuff is called. Kevin, I just call it our virtual training system.
It just acts just like a web.
Dr. Owa about the cafeteria. He wants it set up like co-ops.